Welcome to Buckingham Palace. Join us as we explore some of our highlights from the royal collection on display in the staterooms. And I'm standing in the picture gallery at Buckingham Palace. Having been amassed over 5 centuries, the collection reflects the changing tastes and interests of the successive monarchs that have shaped it. Today, the picture hang reflects that, and you can see works by the likes of Vermeer, Rubens, Rembrandt and Van Dyck. Van Dyck painted this enigmatic double portrait in 1638. It depicts the royalist poet and playwright Thomas Killigrew, who's positioned with his head in his hands. He looks out towards us with this melancholic expression. When you look closer, you can see a black ribbon wrapped around his wrist that holds a ring. This indicates the cause of his grief, the recent death of his wife Cecilia Crofts. If you look even closer, you can see a mourning ring beside his wedding band, and the crucifix attached to his doublet contains her initials. This vibrant and bustling painting depicts a regatta on the Grand Canal in Venice. It's painted by Canaletto, the 18th century Italian artist who is famed for his enticing depictions of Italy. Here we see the central stretch of the Grand Canal, looking toward the Rialto Bridge, which you can just make out in the distance. The painting is a celebration of the city's tradition and pageantry. Boat races such as this have been taking place since the 14th century. You can see that the balconies have been decorated for the occasion, and people bustle onto boats in order to watch the race go by.
I'm in the state dining room of Buckingham Palace, and behind me is the most extraordinary clock. It was made in about 1810 and bought as a new piece by the future George IV. I say it's a clock because the dial is quite hidden, but you might just be able to make the time out in the chariot wheel. And it's because the form of this clock is so important. It's a beautiful work of art. It includes gilt metal clouds and then Apollo with his horses and his chariot drawing daylight across the arc of the heavens. In the marble hall at Buckingham Palace, directly under the picture gallery, the floors are more easily able to bear the heavy weight of marble sculptures. Behind me is a great treasure of the royal collection, a sculpture of Mars and Venus by the Roman sculptor Antonio Canova. It was sculpted in 1815 and commissioned by George IV. It was intended as an allegory, a symbol of Britain's victory over France in the Napoleonic Wars, the goddess of love taming the angry god of war. Just to help with the transport of this work, which is carved from a single block of marble, the tip of Mars's spear is able to be removed.
Queen Victoria was the first monarch to really live in Buckingham Palace. During her 63-year reign, she transformed the building. In recognition of this architectural history, the East Gallery is hung with works from our Victorian collection, most notably a set by George Hayter that depict key moments from Victoria's early reign. This painting depicts Queen Victoria's coronation, which took place at Westminster Abbey on the 28th of June 1838. It depicts a key moment in the ceremony, just after the Queen has been crowned. Hayter witnessed the occasion from the Lord Great Chamberlain's box. Despite making numerous sketches on the day, it took him another 2 years in order to capture the 64 portraits that are included in the final painting. Queen Victoria is seated in the coronation throne, dressed in her robes with the imperial state crown on her head. She holds the sceptre with the cross in her right hand and the sceptre with the dove in her left.
In the throne room at Buckingham Palace are 2 very special chairs. They're chairs of state used in the early parts of a coronation ceremony. The King's chair was first made for his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, in 1953 and was used at the King's coronation in the first stages of the service. The chair, which bears the cipher of the Queen, Queen Camilla, was made for Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh in 1953, and both of them were reupholstered and had these new ciphers, these royal initials, embroidered onto the backs by the Royal School of Needlework for the King's coronation. If you're really sharp-eyed, on the cross stretchers underneath the seat, you might just be able to see a scrolling E on the chair first made for Queen Elizabeth II and scrolling Ps on the chair first made for Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh.